Hi everyone! Today I'm using my voice for this video because it's the end of a 3D speed art challenge I made and I wanted to make a summary of these creations. Excuse me if you hear some English mistakes, my English is quite rusted and I didn't speak English for quite a long time. Actually, I never really practiced properly 3D art. As you can see on the different 3D pieces on your screens, these are my first attempts at 3D art, and that's why I decided to try this out for a month. So the goal of this challenge was to practice my 3D skills in modeling, unwrapping and lighting. I gave myself a maximum of 3 hours a day to make a 3D piece based on simple wood chosen by me or some of my friends. And I had to do this for 1 month. That's why this challenge actually contains 30 3D pieces. Now you know the idea behind this attempt. And for the rest of the video I wanted to take a quick look at each individual piece and just make some commentaries about how I get the idea, what I learned and on each piece and what I think about this piece today. So let's go then. So the first model is this book. The idea came from my girlfriend, who is a great book lover. On this I discovered the displace modifier on Blender, and I also learned some things on the render settings in Blender. I think it's still a proper piece, even if the mesh itself is a bit clumsy and some materials are not properly made. The second model, the sword. And firstly I grabbed a lot of reference pictures, but finally I decided to base the wall mesh only on 3 leaves shapes. And even if the idea itself wasn't that bad, the mesh itself is a bit disappointing. On this piece I learned to use the curve elements in Blender, and that's really something that helped me out a lot. For the third one, the scuba, I choose to work on more spherical meshes because for me at this time the sword was a failure, and I added some sculpted part. On this piece I learned to use transparent textures to make the eye gaze around the scuba helmet. I think that the lighting on this piece really add to give the impression that the helmet is underwater and a bit corrupted by oil spill. For the portal, it was an idea given by one of my friends, and this day I just tried out the simple deform modifier to see how this deformation could help add a proper style. In fact, I was way more comfortable in my workflow of modeling, and it's also the first model I uploaded on the YouTube channel. This one is one of my favorite pieces. At first the idea was just to make a candy dispenser. I mixed a candy distributor, a jukebox, and I did the idea that it would give souls. That's why I did tombstones, a monstrous tongue and a glowing eye. I also learned a super useful shortcut with this model in order to duplicate the unwrapping you've been doing on an object to another. For the bridge, I just wanted to replicate a particular style I saw on Dribble with flashy color gradients and curved leaves, and I finally ended up making the bridge in order to use these leaves in a better creation. And on this one I discovered the curve modifier, allowing a mesh to follow a given path, really useful for the rest of the challenge. The wardrobe, this one at the beginning was supposed to be a clock, and I don't know why the game Hello Neighbor came to my mind, and I wanted to experiment a cartoony shaped wardrobe, made it floating just to add and walk on chains. On the mesh itself, I think that it was a nice challenge, but that I'm still disappointed on the final render. I made it because the wardrobe and the character were posted the same day, because I was a bit late. I had to make 2 pieces one day, so the character I made it way faster to be able just to post both meshes the same day. I really loved the dynamism of the pose, but the way I sculpted the earth behind the character was not really understandable. Oh, the door! I realized that I really put tentacles everywhere since I discovered the curved meshes. I really loved making this door. It was a pretty cool challenge because I managed to make each different object that are present on this piece, including the fire pits, candles, etc. I think the only thing left is that I really want to animate this door. The witch board. This piece and the following ones were made the same day, Once again, I was late, so 2 pieces a day. And both of them were once again words given by my girlfriend. For the witch pot, I tried mixing the classical witch pot with a more alchemical setup. And despite the fact some texts were a bit low in resolution, I really like this piece. For the cat, the idea was to make a devil cat hideout, so cat, hideout, cardboard, just logic. Within a pentagram, as if someone was summoning this cat from hell. However, this model was the second of the day, so I put less effort into it, so I didn't take the time to model properly the cat's head, which is a little disappointment. It's the first idea that was given on Facebook, but when I look out for some reference pictures, I realized that the object was gonna be way more complicated to realize than I thought. That's why I simplified the object to avoid modeling the engine. However, I'm very happy with this model because it was really a nice challenge with a lot of more complex shapes than before. For the cowboy hat, I just wanted to experiment with the curve modifier, trying to mix several layers of curve modifier. It was nice to try this out, and I also tried to modify some textures to add some depth to my models, because I was beginning to feel way more comfortable at modeling, and I had more time to texture, so I was trying this out. For the tree, I continue texturing, try out creating this swarm tree to mix curve meshes, shrink wrap modifier, mixing textures, and actually I still think that the results, the render is pretty convincing and a bit more realistic than my other pieces. I'm pretty happy with it. Actually, for the Game Boy, it was just a bit of nostalgia. Just nostalgia. I was missing my tentacle style and missing the day I was playing Game Boy, so I mixed them both. The only thing I could say is that I'm a bit disappointed by the modeling itself, because I didn't imagine to succeed in modeling all the details of the reference pictures for the Game Boy. The explosion. It was totally inspired by Vegeta Big Bang Attack, FX and Dragon Ball Fight Z. I have nothing to say on this. I think it's a strong base for an animated VFX for a video game, for example, but not really an interesting model itself. The little robot was inspired once again by a game I finished earlier, which is Skybreak, where you have a little feral robot pet that flies around you. It was a good challenge to try out making my own texture and also learn how metal maps and roughness maps works in Blender, trying to make some dirt on the metal. Actually, I'm pretty pleased with the final render, even if it doesn't have a lot of details. So the tribute for Transistor and Bastion, they are just inspired by Transistor I was playing at that time, and I really enjoyed playing both these games and really loved their weapon design, so just decided to make them in 3D and create a little scene that I think is quite nice. And it was also the first time that I really properly mixed my own texture painting with metal maps, especially on the hammer. For the smoking pipe, I just wanted to try out my own style of steampunk, if I could say that. Turned out to be pretty cool and give the impression of a museum piece with the composition. Was quite happy with the level of details on the modeling, even if the time taken by the modeling prevented me from painting my own textures. I think that the fountain with the Zeppelin are the two models that are the most disappointing for me. I wanted to try out really some more complex shape with water, and I had the idea before but never tried it out. And at first I thought the ropes that all the water crystals were nice, but actually it blurs the readability of the global piece, so it's totally disappointing. The axe, I think it's this moment in the challenge that I tried to have a more stylized style on the different species. So I wanted to remake one of my whole 2D artwork and also try out my vector style on textures to see what it could look like. And I'm actually really pleased by the render, and that's why the following pieces were mainly made with vector textures with this style. So as I said, the Zeppelin was piece, I'm a bit disappointing with it, but I think it's because I tried out a piece that was too big for me and I didn't succeed to make a piece as nice as the other ones. I think that for this kind of pieces, I should probably not only use reference pictures, but probably really prepare my own 2D artwork first before modeling. For the shovel, I must admit I don't even remember why I decided to make a shovel. And for this one, the modeling was pretty cool, but I think that really the texturing is just eating a lot of the modeling details, and I'm really torn apart on this model. The cap. For this cap and the slippers, which are one of the following pieces, I just wanted to take reference from real objects that I have at home and just trying to have the same process I used when I create 2D artwork, and it was really a cool attempt. And this cap is actually my favorite piece in this world challenge. This plant was inspired by one of the carnivorous plants in Trine 2, and I just applied my style to it, and also because I was missing tentacles, eyes and teeth. And this one is also a piece that I really enjoyed. The guitar. On this one I have exactly the same thoughts that for the shovel. I really enjoyed modeling this piece, it was a nice challenge, but the texturing just totally blurs the readability of the piece and makes me really disappointed. Drawers, another exercise of style, but this time not on textures but directly on modeling. I really wanted to try to create more cartoon shapes, to have a more stylized look on the meshes, and it was cool to make, even if the render isn't as good as previous one. Slippers. As I said before, I wanted to make some of my personal objects without reference pictures, and this one I tried to use some deform modifiers to mix the vectors texture style with the style I tried before with the drawers, and I think that it does work well. The ping pong racket. This idea of this piece is directly linked to one game I made with friends at school, which is Ping Pong from Hell. So I wanted to make a little tribute to the team and try to make a ping pong racket that looked like a proper weapon. It's simple, and I do think that with more effort it could have been a really polished and detailed weapon. Finally, for the last piece I wanted to make a character. I take out one of my old 2D artwork and try to make it in 3D, and even if it's a pretty simple character, I really wanted for the last one to make something different from props that I've been making during the whole month. So that's it. And to finish this video, I wanted to say that I learned a lot this month. I really improved my 3D modeling and unwrapping skills, and I also managed to create myself a pretty productive workflow in order to fastly produce 3D pieces. It was a hard but rewarding challenge to find an idea each day by myself and try to model it in 3D, trying to be creative and professional in each piece. I learned how to let go my art also. Learn to not stay for too long on the same piece, which is important. It makes you understand the importance of failure and progress. Thank you all for those who followed actively this challenge, those who commented on the videos. It helped me keeping the pace. Don't worry, I post other videos, but not only on 3D. For example, I'm actually redesigning my website and will surely post video on this process and on other, because the goal of the channel is to allow me to keep record of my creations, even if some are just bad, to let myself see the progress I make, but also to help other artists see that everyone fails and that failures are most of the time way more important than achievements, because it allows you to learn a lot from them. Thank you again. You can, if you want, also follow me on Instagram, where I also post my 3D pieces. I will also post a Sketchfab collection link in the description with all the models that will give you the opportunity to look closely on each one if you want to. And also, don't hesitate to tell me if you want that I make more commented videos. Have a nice weekend, everyone, and praise the sun.